Welcome back to another episode of Titus Talks. It's been 2 weeks since we last got to sit down and chat about some things. I'm going to talk about why it's been 2 weeks in this episode, of course. Some things happened to me that kind of shook me last week and kind of held me back from being able to do what I want to do. So I want to discuss that a little bit today. And, of course, some things about yoga. The next Yama. We're gonna get into a couple artists and albums, and then we're gonna rediscover. We're gonna dig back into an older book that I'm currently reading still, and look at one of the quotes that are in there that have really stood out to me overall too. So buckle up, settle in for episode 8 of Titus Talks. So last week, Wednesday is normally my recording day for the show, and Wednesday is my off day. So I normally have most of the day to get up in the morning, do some things, yoga, work out at the gym, family, friends, whatever. But to the house, shower, clean up, eat, and then of course get into my yoga, get into the channel. So for whatever reason, that Wednesday, I got up and was doing my thing, and as the day progressed, I began to feel my spirit really get heavy. And it wasn't anxiety, but it was just a really kind of a heavy, draining spirit. And I knew for a fact that with that feeling, I couldn't record and have it be of any quality at all. So I decided to hold off on it, and I planned for shooting in the morning, the next day, Thursday. Keep in mind as well that I had an event coming up for yoga coming up that Sunday. So I get in bed Wednesday night, knock out with the goal in mind to wake up refreshed, come back and be able to record. Wake up Thursday morning, and my spirit goes from feeling like I'm carrying 10 pounds to carrying 100 pounds. I literally can't get out of bed. I roll over on the side of the bed, my feet down on the ground. I kind of get to my phone, I scroll once or twice, and I just can't. I feel not paralyzed, but again, just really, really weighted down. And I felt most safe and I felt most at peace once I got into bed, curled up under the covers. And it was a weird feeling. So I'm in bed, it's about 6:30, 7 o'clock, and I'm normally up and moving around then, and I can't, I physically am unable to. I feel the most at peace back in the bed again. So I go to sleep for about a half an hour, hoping that maybe more sleep will fix it, and it didn't. I woke up again at around 7:30 or 8, nothing at all. Work, of course, is that day on Thursday at 11 o'clock, so I'm thinking, okay, maybe another half an hour to be safe. Get up at 9:30 maybe. I do still feel heavy, but I push through because I felt similar to this before, and I pushed through and I've been able to be okay. So I get up, get showered, get a little food in my belly. I don't meditate for whatever reason. I don't meditate because I just feel that clouded. So I get to work and I'm feeling just draggy still. And again, I felt similar before, and I've been able to push through and be okay. So I get to work, I handle my first session. I teach classes at my job to customers who come into the store. So I get to my first session, and the first session is choppy. I'm stuttering the whole time. I just feel so anxious, and I feel really, really bad. Not present. I'm thinking everywhere else but in that moment. The store is busy. And my coworker to my left, she later on told me that she heard me on the mic and was like, Ivy, he doesn't quite sound right. So I finish up. I push through, and I've learned to push through to be able to still get the job done. It may not have been quality. It was probably really C plus work, to be honest. But I got it done. Go to the back of the house. Go to the back of the house. Back of the store, and I sit down on the edge of the counter in the back. And the girl that had noticed me, she saw me in the back and noticed that my face was just off. And she thought it was strange because I'm normally fairly warm and bright and welcoming, and I wasn't in that moment at all. She saw me, she spoke to that, and then she said, "Come here," and she grabbed me and hugged me, threw me into a rest, and I just, in that moment of being seen, in my pain, in my distress, and being embraced, it let everything go. Like everything was let loose, every emotion, everything I was feeling. I began to I don't want to say cry, because crying came later on. I first began to groan and sob in her arms. So she didn't sit down next to me. It wasn't deep crying just yet. It was just a recognizing of, this is in me, and I'm feeling it, and it's being addressed. So she's just next to me. Another coworker of mine, who I actually was able to sit with during his own anxiety attack months ago. He came and he saw what was going on, and he stood there with me as well. They both breathed with me. They talked with me. I began to cry a lot more in those moments. And then after a minute or two, people are walking by, coworkers walking by, and they're not quite engaged, but they're seeing something is wrong. My store leader, the highest manager, comes back, and she and I have a good rapport. Comes back, gives me her hand, and takes me into the office. And she says, "Ivy, what's up? Like what's going on?" Because she also knows me not to have that demeanor. There are other coworkers who fluctuate a lot, but I have never ever, in the course of my 8 years at my job, had that experience. So she was confused and of course deeply concerned, as she by nature is. We talked for several minutes. She first of all asked of course if I was seeing anybody for this, because I was in tears, rolling, sobbing uncontrollably. I didn't know why it was happening. There was literally emotions from every side. Every kind of emotion was pouring over me, and not even thinking about anything at all, I would begin to cry. And then the crying itself would evoke more crying and more tears. And I was in shambles. So she talked me through some things, asked me if I was seeing anybody at all, when did it happen, what was the trigger for it, and I didn't even know that answer, what triggered the issue. I told her what, of course, the previous day. I told her about that morning, and it was just a real new experience. Not scary, surprisingly, not terrifying at all. Again, I think because I have become so aware of myself, and so cognizant of what I'm feeling, I felt myself through this this whole ordeal, which was a beautiful thing to be able to have. So I wasn't scared. I was very aware of it all. So she left, and she gave me some resources. My company provides 8 free sessions to a therapist, to a counselor, which is amazing. She pretty much, in so many words, said, "We got you for the day. Go home, take rest. Handle yourself." I'm concerned about whether I was going to be getting home on my own, by myself, or whatever. She asked, of course, if I was going to have any kind of self-harm at all. I wasn't in that space at all. A coworker friend of mine came in, and he was able to talk to me on a different level. That the guy that I mentioned in another episode, King Kofi, the artist. So he and I talked about some things, and he was able to connect with me and listen to me and ask me some things that calmed me down, that prepared me to be able to find a way to take control of what I can control. Because anxiety, in essence, is the feeling of lack of control, concerning over things that you can't control at all. They did send me home. I did go home. I visited my parents for a little bit at their office, and then another friend of mine at his house who got home. Did some yoga at the park, which was much needed. I got to write out some things, my feelings about all the things that I hadn't addressed at all over the past several weeks. I would say. Ate some food and just rested. again, I have never before in my life had an anxiety attack like that, or period. I felt depression creeping into my life, into my spirit. I felt things creeping in, but I have never before experienced that onslaught, that ocean, that wave of unrequested, undefined. You can't control. It was insane. It was insane. So that was the day after, or the morning, the morning that I planned to record for the show was the morning I woke up depressed and heavy. So that didn't happen. Thankfully, that experience happened. That shook me. That freed me of some emotions, and that made me realize how intensely I was holding some things about the weekend for the event. So I had an event. I had my first event. Myself and Chelsea were able to organize and plan and successfully host a yoga self-awareness event this past Sunday of alumni weekend for my college homecoming, and it was a success. It really, really was. I'm excited for being able to have taken the time to organize and plan out not just a yoga flow, which is of course something that I can do. I've done it for a while now. But also organizing self-awareness processes, looking at the different elements of yoga, breathing, of course, meditation, the asanas themselves, the flow, diet, and one more tip that we talked about that day. But it felt really good to be able to see the fruits of my labor for the past several weeks and months come to fruition in that hour and a half of people that came. So thank you to y'all who came. We were all able to really, really dig into our own spirits and our own lives and speak into the environment, what we wanted to see for ourselves. And we were able to grow and learn together. We have 3 more coming up in the next couple months. So May, June, July. I want to actually bring on a couple more instructors besides myself. My friend Shatora, and I think my friend Elena may come on to teach a couple of sessions as well. But I do, of course, teach regular sessions during the week on Friday afternoons at 4 o'clock and 5:30. If you're in Huntsville, come by to Sage Huntsville, to Sage Wellness in Huntsville. So that's that. That's how I got I got through it. And for me, in that instance, yoga. I won't say that yoga didn't help me, because it did. Yoga helped me in that when yoga on the mat wasn't what I needed, yoga of awareness was what I needed. Yoga of breathing was what I needed. Yoga of meditation, yoga of going into myself and hearing myself was what I needed. And then after the experience, after that attack in that moment at work, I came to yoga, to the mat. And let myself feel myself and my body and my spirit, and I moved in myself, and I was able to introspect a lot more. And I think a lot of things that I used to lean heavily on the mat, that I won't take away from, but I now draw differently to the mat practice, is that I can take that time to feel my mind, to listen to my mind, to feel my spirit, to work on a thing that I can control. And that thing that I can control is my body and my breath and my own progress. And that alone, in that space, is such a sacred space. It's not just thinking and praying. It's not just writing things out. It's not just breathing, but it's all 3 of those things brought together. And they're all connected by me, and it's mine. And as you connect the breath, and as you connect your mind, spirit, and meditation, and as you move your body in certain ways, in certain postures, that begins to create a unique unity and this unique equanimity. So I really, really implore you, as a yogi, someone who has been through a lot, not a whole lot, but enough, take a chance to get into yoga, for your health, for your mental health, spiritual health, and of course physical health as well. So yeah, that's a little recap on my experiences last week. I do want to, again, in this episode, even though it's not going to be a lot of extra time for everything else, we're about 15 minutes in. I do want to just touch on the other Yama for this week and a bit of the book, and a couple artists as well. So the third Yama again is called Asteya, Asteya. Asteya is in essence restraining ourselves from making ourselves smaller or bigger than we already are, from trying to be something that we're not, or hiding what we are. It's often hard to know where to draw the line, in just where too much lies. Yoga addresses this dilemma beautifully. Gather resources as you need support, as you need to support your particular service in the world. No more, no less. In other words, we are asked to walk a fine line between stealing from others and stealing from ourselves. If we take more than we need in any area of our lives, we are stealing from others. If we deny ourselves resources of what we need to reach our full potential, we are stealing from ourselves. So Asteya, in essence, in its basic sense, is non-stealing. And non-stealing, of course, is to not take from others, but it's not just in terms of taking a physical thing. It may be in terms of taking someone's time, and not, again, as I said, not giving to yourself what you need. You're stealing from your own potential when you don't give yourself time and effort. I stole from myself and my own peace in letting the anxiety from what's happening in the future take from me in that moment in time. So Asteya is a concept that is that should be followed and should be adhered to as best as possible in terms of being a yogi as well. I do want to talk a little bit about just one quote from the book Think Grow Rich, and again recommend a couple artists too. The quote that I'm going to talk about for this time is going to be a quote. Okay, here we go. As knowledge is acquired, it must be organized and put into use for a definite purpose through practical plans. And that stood out to me a lot because knowledge alone is useless. We can have 6 degrees, so many volumes of books read and understood and captured into our brains and minds for certain skill sets and certain projects. But if it's not put into practical use with a practical plan, it's of no value at all. Another quote here said that knowledge has no value. Knowledge has no value except that which has been gained from its application towards some worthy end. One more quote, it says here, the truth is that schooling does little more than to put one on the way of learning on how to acquire practical knowledge. So knowledge is important, making it practical, and making it practical towards a worthy end is the most important thing. All right, last bit, we're gonna go ahead and look at 2 artists that I can cover right now, again in time. I've got 6 written down here, but I'm gonna cover 2 right now. Yesterday, 2 days ago, I heard a fellow yogi on Instagram playing some background music in one of her flows, and I couldn't figure out who it was, but I did end up seeing another artist that I loved from years ago that I hadn't played in a while. The artist's name is Flo Feliz, Flofeliz. He's a hip hop artist apparently, who I know personally more for his instrumental beats and things. This here is a look at the artist. There we go. That's him. I personally love the intro. I love Caballera, Dolce, Passagem. There's a lot of really good songs on this particular album. The album name is Scenario, Cenario. Check him out. It's really good stuff. There's that. Then the other artist that I actually ended up playing one day I did a free flow out in the park at Big Spring Park in Huntsville, and I'm not gonna say that I'm the biggest fan of this artist, but because he speaks lyrically, almost in a spoken word form with music in the background, his words really affirm and speak into my life. So this guy's name is Lundrell. I have a few friends who already know about who he is. I know Shaquala does. I'm gonna put a link into her blog in a minute with Shaquala. She's a fellow yogi, a fellow influencer, a mindfulness guru on the way to a lot of great things. But Londrell, look him up. His album Sunflower Soul is good, as well as the album Feels is really good as well. So those are going to be the two artists that I recommend to you guys this episode, episode 8, I think, episode 8. Londrell and I'm sorry, not Feels, Flo Fills. FLOFILLZ. The art, and then again, the album for Flo Fills is Scenario, CENARIO. Yeah. So that's that. Thank you again, guys, so much for tuning in, for listening, for watching, for going back to my old episodes. If you haven't seen the older ones, check back in those. Episode 1, Here We Go, Getting Started. Other episodes talk about different elements of my life, yoga, different things as well. Check out Shaquala's YouTube channel. I'm gonna plug in a couple other channels that I like as well. Also very important, I'm on a tip right now of supporting other Black businesses and friends of mine as well. So this shirt here is a shirt that was designed by my homie Chris. His most recent line of shirts and clothes. Check him out. He is an organizer of Black creatives, whether they be artists, musicians, or business owners as well. And I appreciate his work, his hustle, his grind, and his aligning people of color towards growth, towards community, and towards engaging in our passions and in our creative paths towards each other as well. But check him out. Get a shirt, support, come to an event. He's based in Atlanta right now, I believe, and he's doing events both in Atlanta and in Huntsville right now. He's looking to grow. Look him up, click the link, support. Yeah, and that's it for today. Look out for another episode. We pray in a week or so next